And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia, number 186. I'm, of course, host Light VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat. It's good to see everyone. Good to see Icedown in the chat. Semir, Emperor Fubel as well. I saw Frost. I saw Wormshik. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Welcome to a very special edition. I think a couple of people were talking about it. This is the ESL Open Cup edition before Gamers 8. As a result, we have players here that are competing in Gamers 8, and there are players that are not. It's gonna be interesting. Interesting to get a read on the state of players right now. And here we go, spawning in the top right hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team Abydos. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Terran representing Maturino Esports, going for a bit of a proxy. It is Future. And I think he just got... No, never mind. He did not get scouted. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. So quickly just double-check my gain. Don't want to be... Do not want to be too loud, so just double checking some of my settings. And this is going to be an interesting opener here. So we have a Rax out on the map, sure, but it's only a single Rax. So NightMare, he probe scouts, he sees that the Rax is missing, is aware that something is amiss. He is going to be sticking around to make sure that nothing else gets thrown down. And the Proxy Reaper is upon us. Again, this shouldn't be too committed. We can see Future getting ready to maybe even throw down a bunker. NightMare is aware of it. He's making sure if a bunker gets thrown down, he does have eyes on it. Sees the SCV going into the main base. A Zealot is being chronoed out as well, or is on the way as well. And we see Future transitioning back at home, and NightMare is going to confirm that. He doubles back with his probe. He hasn't gone up into the main yet, but soon he should, and he should spot that factory. Meanwhile, as the probe leaves, the SCV is just going to be patrolling here, thinking about maybe throwing something down, but opts not to. Reaper dives into the main. Zealot is here to stop him. And yeah, we're just going to be dancing here with these probes. Can we get a probe kill? Oh wait, the surround! Ooh. The surround for a moment, but one probe goes down. We may even get a second probe as well, but the Stalker has arrived. Second probe falls. Ooh. Not a bad amount of damage done here by Future. He's able to dip on out of there. 2 probe kills. And was able to, for the most part, get a read on the opener for the time being. Back at home, we're transitioning. We're working on our CC, working on our starport. It was a 1-1-1 into the natural. So the natural has been delayed by quite a lot in favor of aggression. That aggression is going to come in the form of a mine drop. Oh boy. Also, we can have a look at the bracket after this, go over it, and, you know, kind of theory craft together once the series does conclude. For now, though, we're focusing on our TvP. Reaper getting another probe across the map as well. Jesus, 4 probes in total this game. Not too bad. Units are going to threaten that ramp, but the mine does zone away NightMare. We can see NightMare going for a very safe follow-up. He's going not for a Twilight Council, not for a Stargate. He's going for a Robo Opener instead. With this Robo, he can commence Immortal production really early on. He can get detection. He can get out of Warp Prism if he wants to be a little bit more feisty. But for the most part, Robo Openers are very safe here in PvT. It also means that NightMare won't really have too much of a map presence. He won't have Phoenixes, he won't have Blink Stalkers. They're going to be heavily delayed. So NightMare is more focused on defending back at home. There is that shield battery. Meanwhile, coming from across the map, we do have the drop. The army has been spotted. Probe is going to spot the medevac. NightMare is fully aware of what's going on. We can see him rotating over into the main base. Oh, a lot of hits already on that medevac. Oh. Yeah, we're not going to get close to the mineral line. Detection has arrived. We do... Oh, let's scan! Let's go! He scans, takes out the observer, saves the second winter mine as well. Oh my god. Bappy. You don't see that too often, but Future going for the scan, going for the snipe. Slick moves out of Future. Meanwhile, with this Robo Opener, the power behind it, other than just being safe and having access to Immortals and access to Observers, is that you can go into a fast bay. You can go into a really fast robotics bay. again, what I said earlier still applies, where NightMare doesn't really have too much map presence. Like, you can't really vie for map control, and he can't really be too active. If he is, he's going to lose units. So there's that downside, but of course he has the upside of rushing into these Colossi faster than ever before. And once you get 2-3 Colossi out, you're going to be very safe against bio-based pushes. Now, Future, upon seeing that upon seeing the Observer, should be aware that it was a Robo opener. Back at home, he's getting ready. He's got his Raven. Spreading out his tanks. A pretty damn good position. And the Observer hasn't spotted. Let's go. Future, he does spot the Observer. Just barely doesn't. Oh no! Even wastes an auto turret. Doesn't get the Observer in the end. This is going to keep Future pinned back at home for a little bit. Again, he's still working on the rest of his push, or sorry, the rest of his production. It's getting up and running. Behind this, a mine drop comes in. Gonna be pulling away some of the workers here. Have a mine dropping into the natural. One probe each. Nothing too major. Just lost mining time. And the Colossus has been revealed. So at least Future is aware of the Colossus production. He's aware of the third base. Can we do anything about it? A low amount of Colossus, yes. That's where the Raven comes into play. You know, this Raven has so much power. So much power in this matchup to go for disables, to specifically disable and shut down Colossi. And depending on the angle of attack, you can actually lay siege upon this third and even break the third. But because it was a Robo opener, like, we're just going to have so much Colossi available for the first push. As the Observer has rotated over towards the natural, which means, ooh, NightMare does not see the move out. Future pretty committed with this. Third base has been delayed in favor of this massive push. There is an Observer in the center of the map, and it will spot the army. NightMare now knows. He is aware. We can see him getting ready back at home. Colossi repositioning. There is a shield battery. There is an overcharge. And we have sentries for force fields. Oh, can we force with the rape? Gonna be threatening to force field the rape as well. Oh, one of those tanks taking a lot of hits. As Future is gonna be sieging up here on the high ground. Not too bad. Gets a couple of shots in. Throws down a third CC on location, so he's not all in. He's not going for a 2-base all in. But he is reinforcing. He's still pretty committed. Still looking for some damage. Again, the Raven is available for that disable. See NightMare getting in position at the same time. Double jump is slipping into the third. NightMare not quite here to stop it. Probes are going to be going down. Widowmine, Zoo Burrow as well. Good shots at the same time. Future trying to push his way in. There we go. We have the two disables. Only one Colossus is up and running, and it's going to get targeted down, but no, it does survive. Oh, that was a very committed dive. Tank goes down. NightMare holds. He has 3 Colossi. We can see Future trying to pull him apart, trying to pull apart the attention here of NightMare. He is going to take control of the ramp. He's going to try to. But there's too much. There is too much. NightMare cleans up the army. He loses 6 probes, but he is still ahead in the worker count because his third base was so delayed. NightMare was able to split up in time and keep up with the movements of Future. It was a good effort. It was a good effort, but alas, Future just wasn't able to pull his opponent apart. And now NightMare has momentum. Now NightMare, he is in the commanding position. He has his third base. He has Blink on the way. Warp Prism to reinforce. We have a Forge and a Templar Archives for those storms, for the Archons as well. Just things are starting to snowball out of control. Future, he needed to do more damage with his push. Charge shots zooming on forward. They're going to be taking some of those mine shots to the face. Oh, the friendly fire. Friendly fire was brutal. Boys are being pulled. 1 Colossus goes down, but only 1 Colossus will fall. Iron SCVs go down, and it looks like Future, he's going to be able to hold on. Yo, he can get another Colossus. Not too bad. Can he get 2? Up. Up. Oh my god, he barely does with the last shot of the Viking. He gets both Colossi, and now suddenly NightMare's in a bit of trouble. Suddenly, NightMare, he lost all of his high-tech units, all of his Colossi went down. He has to start from scratch. Taking his 4th base, warping in some Archons. Future, unfortunately, he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough to keep on pushing, didn't have enough to keep on going. Has to back off. And he's transitioning. Ghost Academy on the way. He's going to go for some mine drops at least, but I mean, NightMare, he's going to be up a base. Even going for an Archon drop? Okay, fair enough. Archon drop is slipping into the main. And we're going to get some damage done, but the Vikings are here, and this is an expensive loss for NightMare. Lose the Prism and 2 Archons. At the same time, does that create an opening? It does. There's nothing here. Ay, ay, ay. Future, his entire army rotated over into the main base. And that exposes the front line. That exposes even the Ghost Academy, but NightMare does pull back. At the same time, it looks like we did have a mine drop. 4 probes went down. Meanwhile, 9 SCVs went down to the Archon in the main and to a little bit of a Zealot run by as well. It could have been worse, though. To be fair, this could have been worse. Future could have lost his Ghost Academy. So thankfully, he does hold on to it. Thankfully. He's going to be able to push it out. How many ghosts does he have? We have 3 ghosts, each one with an EMP. We've got 5 Vikings, which will help against these Colossi. Oh, Disruptor production has commenced. And these Novas, they could really be everything here. Future getting in position. The Vikings are going to be zoning away those Colossi. Good EMP on one of those Disruptors. Is looking quite low, quite vulnerable. But every single Viking just went down. Yeah, without the Vikings, it's going to be difficult to really punish these Colossi. Zealot's doing a great job of just tanking here for the rest of the army, forcing Future back. At the same time, Zealot run by slips in. 5 more SCVs go down. Oof. This 4th base is getting up and running. We have a Dark Shrine on the way, continuing that disruptive production as well. Looks like we're stopping at 2 Colossi, which isn't too much. It does mean that NightMare is going to be very heavily reliant on these Purification Novas. On these Disruptor shots. Up! Oh, full medevac goes down. Second medevac goes down as well. At the same time, we do have a secondary push here on the right-hand side. Future trying to pull this off, but he is spotted by the pylon. No! 3rd medevac goes down. And NightMare, he's keeping up with everything. He saw everything ahead of time. Able to pre-split his army. And Future just lost so much in those drops. Not again. Yeah, Future is going to be losing everything here. The ghosts go down. Does manage to escape with at least 1 full medevac, thankfully. Behind this, 4th CC is on the way. So, the worrisome thing is that at a certain point, especially after dealing with all these drops, NightMare's going to push. And here it is. The push is upon us. And NightMare, he's just got how many Disruptors with this? 4 Disruptors, 2 Colossi, a massive army. Doesn't have too many Zealots, though, to be fair. So he still has to be careful. Oof. But the Ghost Academy is going to go down. Where is the Prism? That's what I'm curious about. The boys are being pulled. We can see Future trying to set up a surround. He's trying to surround the army, but the numbers just aren't on his side. He gets a Colossus. Does get a Colossus, but this costs him the entire mineral line. At the same time, we have another army pushing into the natural. GG gets called. And NightMare will take game number 1. Oh, GG. A really solid opener out of NightMare. If you remember, from the very beginning, it was a 1-1-1 opener into a very dedicated mine drop. Unfortunately for Future, NightMare was playing it out safe. He was playing safe. He went for a robo, already had detection. So the initial mine drop didn't really do too much. Didn't do too much at all. And from there, we saw NightMare kind of, muster up an army and for the most part, he was in control of that game. There were a couple of moments, though, where he overextended. If you remember, there was that fight outside the third base where Future cleaned up all the Colossus, and that was his moment then and there. But he just barely wasn't able to capitalize on it and push out and deal any economic damage. That's kind of the main thing here, is that Future wasn't really able to slow down or hinder the economy of NightMare. Despite all the drop play, despite all the Widow Mines, it would be like maybe 4, maybe 5 probes going down at a time. Nothing too major, nothing that NightMare couldn't deal with. Nothing that he couldn't absorb. And Future, he was dedicating a lot to his harass and to his drops. GG. GG, well played. We are now going to be getting into game number 2. Is this live? Are we live? That's a good question. Shake that. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gress Farm, we have the South Korean Protoss representing Team Abydos. Leading the series 1-0, it is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the American Terran player representing Majorino Esports. It is Future. Of course, how could I forget as well that Future did go for a really committed 2-base push. If you remember, his 3rd base was very late in that last game. He was so committed with his tank push, with his Ravens as well, and we saw that NightMare was able to defend quite handedly. Didn't lose any Colossus in that initial attack. Was able to split up, keep up with the drop play as well. So just really solid defensive play out of NightMare that game, it felt like. Which is really impressive just because that's not something that we typically see. Like, especially in this matchup, NightMare is usually the aggressor. Usually he's the one in your face, he's the one with Blink Stalkers, with Phoenixes, like he's harassing, going for all these Zealot run-bys. NightMare, he's a really fast player, so interesting to see a bit of a role reversal. A role reversal, if you will. Once again, Future going for the proxy racks. Only one. This could also lead into a bunker on the low ground if NightMare doesn't check ahead of time. As the probe goes in, sees that the racks is missing, and NightMare does keep his probe here on the low ground. Does have an eye on that SCV. Oh, as Future is opting to lock that probe in. Does go for the full wall off, the probe is locked into the main base, and it can be shut down. And meanwhile, there is that bunker that we were talking about. He's going to be using the pylon against NightMare here, providing some reduced surface area. There we go, one probe already goes down. The bunker is going to finish. Second probe as well. Can we get a third? Uh-oh. Zealot is making a beeline for that bunker, but the bunker is going to finish. Marine is on the way. And because the bunker is next to the pylon, that means that a shield battery on the low ground isn't going to be enough. The pylon is under threat. Boy is being pulled, and there's that shield battery barely thrown down. Zealot trying to catch some reinforcements. We're going to have to see a cancel on that shield battery. Or are we? It's going to be close. There it is. Does force a cancel. We have two more shield batteries on the way. Oh my god, the Stalker goes down. This is snowballing out of control. That's a kill, not a cancel on the second shield battery. Oh god, Marine production just continuing here. And there we go with the death of that third shield battery. Future, he has control of the low ground. With no shield battery, we can't really deal with this bunker. Ay. We can see a Twilight Council's thrown down. NightMare having a hard time dealing with this. He does pick off a Marine. Good control there out of NightMare. Future's committed. Can he get the Stalker? Up, he does. Just barely. He gets the Stalker. But now there are no more Marines. Oh, that means we can't deal with these. Oh god, he's gonna try. The body blocking. Gets a Marine in. Helion's gonna go down. Behind this, we're going into a 3 racks. Or actually, sorry, we're setting up a 2-on-1. 3-1-1, counting the racks floating in the air. Finally, this is going to be dealt with. Oh, that's a kill, not a salvage. And NightMare knows he's behind. He hasn't been mining from his natural at all, and we're not done. We're going for a follow-up medevac drop. Do we have... we don't have an armory, but regardless, the mines have arrived. Up! How many pros can we get? The unburrow. The reburrow. More lost mining time. Dark Shrine is scouted, so Future knows to get ready with detection back at home. Proxy Pylon is on the way. Oh, we're going Banshee. So, only one Banshee. I'm pretty sure he planned to go 2 Banshee, a double Banshee, but because he saw the Dark Shrine, he's going for a safety Raven instead. Oh, a little bit mistimed. Little Mine will go down. Banshee zooming across the map. We do not have detection. The Invisible Man. Is it better than the invisible plane? Oh god, this Cloak Banshee is going to do so much damage here at the natural. Here we go, probes are going to be going down. Cloak is revealed. Oh, okay, we have a shield battery, thankfully. We have a shield battery. But you can see how much lost mining time there is here. Shield battery doing what it can, but eventually it's going to run out of energy. We're even going for the sentry. Forced to overcharge. Meanwhile, we still haven't warped in a DT, by the way. We just can't. We just can't. Observer on the way. Shield battery is out of energy. More probes going down. The sentry goes down as well. Banshee should get out of here and oh. Looks like the Banshee will barely escape. And Future back at home, he's just setting up his defense. The Raven is in the main. We did warp in a DT, I believe. Yeah, we're going for Archon. So NightMare, he knows that he got scouted, so he's not going for any DT harass because he knows that it just won't do any damage. We can see how prepared Future is back at home. Because of that, we just warp in Archons instead. We're going for a Robotic Spay. We're just trying to see what sticks. We're throwing everything at the wall. And maybe skipping Colossus and going straight for Disruptors. Maybe that's the call. Meanwhile, Future, he can go at this one of 2 ways. He can either go for a fast 3rd CC and expand, or he can go for a 2-base all-in and kill his opponent, because NightMare, he's crippled. He's quite crippled right now. An all-in would probably kill him. Here we go. We are pushing out. Oh boy. Will the Disruptor be out in time? Will the Colossus be out in time? What are we going for? That's the question. As NightMare is going to be checking. There it is. It's going to be a Colossus. He will see this coming ahead of time, but only by a couple of seconds. Future scanning ahead of time, making sure that there's nothing waiting for him. Pushing on forward, leapfrogging with his tanks. Did we need to disable? It's, you know, it works. Disables the Archon, disables the Immortal as well. And we can just stim on forward. The Colossus does come out. So the disables, they are no longer available here. NightMare, he's holding. Banshee gets 5 probe kills before going down. Oh, and NightMare, sorry, Future, he's backing up. And I do think he was trigger happy with the disables. I think that was a little bit unnecessary, and as a result, he couldn't disable that Colossus. He's backing off. 3rd CC's on the way. Uh-oh. Future looking for a longer game. It looks like he has recognized that he might not be able to kill NightMare. NightMare is behind, but can he come back in this game? Possible. He needs a really good fight. 3rd base is going to be denied. Bit of friendly fire there from that Widowmine. Disable does connect on the Colossus, and now Future, he sims on board, takes down the first Colossi. And he can even focus down the Archons as well. Yeah, he is snowballing out of control. Reinforcements come in. It looks like NightMare barely holds onto his natural. He's going to be able to force this back. Oh! No, back goes down. NightMare, he does survive, but he's being contained. That's the problem, is that he's stuck on a 2-base economy, which is equal to that of Future, to be fair, but not for too much longer, as a third is being taken. A late third. NightMare, he's going for a counterattack. I do think that right now, Future is at his most vulnerable. You have Zealots getting ready for a flank. NightMare rotating over towards the natural base. It's going to be close. Zealots were spotted. So they're even getting a couple of SCV kills here at the natural. NightMare there, he doesn't go for it. Doesn't take the bait. Oh. And NightMare, he's more concerned with posturing and expanding. He's not gonna commit to an attack. He's backing off, getting into disruptors. Future is still ahead, especially now that he has his third base up and running. Future has a better economy. Oh! And yeah, he's working on his second wave. Second push. I know NightMare, he's barely been holding on time and time again, but now with the Vikings, even with the anti-armor missile here just blanketing the entire army. Nova goes off. We needed a good Nova, and that's just not good enough. We have a shield battery, we have an overcharge, but the first Colossus goes down. Yeah, tanks are in range. Second Colossus falls, third Colossus as well. GG gets called, and we are going to the ace match. Future ties it up 1-1. GG. Let's go. And yeah, that was actually really well done by Future. The opener snowballed out of control. If you remember, in game number 1, when Future went for his proxy, and when he had his SCV on the low ground, NightMare, he was actually like being really adamant about keeping his probe on the low ground to make sure he's there for any kind of bunker shenanigans. In game number 2, NightMare was a little bit more lax with his probe, and as a result, he was taken advantage of. We had that bunker, and we saw things snowball out of control. Future, he got so much out of that first proxy racks, out of that first bunker. If you remember, he killed 2 shield batteries, forced like 2 cancels on 2 shield batteries. He killed like 2 or 3 stalkers, got the zealots, just forced a massive reaction and a massive delay as well in the economy of NightMare. So things snowballed out of control. From that moment, Future was ahead, and yeah, we saw that NightMare was able to at least hold on a little bit longer, but that lead from Future was just a little bit too much from the early game. And GG, well played. We have an ace match. I was AFK, what happened? Protoss was taken advantage of. Oh, not like this. It was pretty intense. It was a very intense start to the game. It was a proxy racks into a bunker into, I mentioned it earlier, but a lot of damage being done. A lot of delayed mining. Into a mine drop, into Banshees. Yeah, it was a lot. And now we have an ace match. Now we have a game number 3. Let's go. Looks like the players just need a moment before we dive into this. And we'll give them that moment, of course. And we'll see how this series does turn out. Again, we'll go over the bracket once we wrap this series up. It's quite a lot to go over. Quite a large bracket, actually. Pretty happy to see. Very happy to see. Alright, diving into this. I think there are some players that we're missing here. I say some. The Terrans are here. The Terrans that we expect. Oh, never mind. Oh, Beyond didn't check in. Uh-oh. Okay. This makes things a lot more up in the air. The upper half of the bracket is stacked. Lower half, not so much. But we can go over it. We can go over it after this game. Here we go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team Abydos. Oh boy, being forced into the ace match. It is NightMare. And spawning in the top left hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the American Terran player representing Match Arena Esports, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is Future. We go. The ace match, where it all ends. NightMare, I would say, is one of the favorite players in this tournament. I think he's the highest ranked Korean Protoss in this tournament right now. But here in the first round, does he get knocked out? Shout out to Future. Future, for those who don't know, he is an American Terran player. He's living in Korea right now. He's living with Scarlet. He's living with Zane. He's living with Estrella. They are all in the Foreigner team house in Korea. And Future has been improving a lot. Over the past couple of weeks, if you check out his Wikipedia page or even check out this channel, we've been casting him in the qualifiers for the Africa Champions Cup. We casted him in the qualifiers of the Masters Coliseum. He's been playing in KSL, ESL Open Cup Asia, ESL Open Cup Americas, even in the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. And yeah, Future, he's been really impressive. He's been taking down players like Ragnarok, taking down players like NightMare as well. It's been really cool to see. Really cool to see. Oh, sorry, he even he beat Estrella. He beat Estrella in a TvP, which I was surprised by. I kind of rate Estrella pretty highly, especially after he won ESL Masters Summer, the Americas region. I would say that he's probably the best player in the Americas right now. So it's really cool to see that that like Future, he can go toe to toe with Estrella at the moment. I wouldn't say the Future's the favorite, but, you know, can make him bleed. And take him down at times. Meanwhile, talking about the game. For the first time, Future, he throws down his racks back at home. It is going to be a racks expand setup here from Future. He wins out on the mind games as NightMare, he is looking for proxies. I don't blame him. After game 1 and game 2, we can see that NightMare is a little bit paranoid. He's making sure everything is on the up and up. Oh my god, he even made a Zealot. He even made a Zealot and a shield battery here at the natural as well. NightMare, he's been done dirty before. Oh, Future, he is going for a proxy, but a later proxy. This probe, I don't think it's going to recheck. This is going to be a setup for, I imagine, a starport. We're waiting for the factory to finish. We should be going for an add-on swap. Yep, Hellions are on the way. Starport, sorry. Yeah, starport is thrown down. And this could be for either a Hellion drop, or it could be for Liberator Harass. Both can work. Both can work. Meanwhile, NightMare going for a Robo opener. Very safe opener, just like game 1. Very safe play here out of NightMare. He has been humbled. Has been humbled a little bit by his opponent. Boy, here we go. The Hellions are moving on out. Hellions are actually being rallied over to the natural, so it looks like this should be... Oh, I assumed it was a Liberator. Proxy Viking, let's go. This is a very special dynamic here, but Vikings actually do so much DPS to probes. Probes and SCVs. Not drones, but to mechanical units. So yeah, this Viking can actually go to town in the mineral line. It's going to do a surprising amount of damage. Ideally, it pulls away the army, and that is going to create an opening here for the Hellions. Hellions are getting ready to dive in. Even if there's a unit at the wall, we can knock it out of position with this Reaper. Here we go. The Viking is diving in. At the same time, the Hellions and the Reapers do dive forward as well. The force field is too late. We get into the mineral line. There was no force field. Probes are going down left and right. The force field, is going to lock this down here in the natural. Not able to go into the main, but probes are falling nonetheless. 13 workers in total. Future, he rotates around and he's going to get the hell out of there. But 14 probes for 2 Hellions, a Reaper, and a Viking. Pretty well worth it. And yo, we have a follow-up as well. Liberator on the way. I think I said Liberator instead of Reaper, but is on the way. Observer across the map is going to get sniped. We are getting into our 3-1-1 follow-up. And once again, the goal here, Liberator sieges up, pulls away the attention of the Stalkers, and then the Hellions dive in. The 1-2 punch. This time, though, NightMare was ready for it. He was waiting in position. Sure, he's losing mining time, but he does just shut down those Hellions. Liberator repositions. Good target firing. Gets 3 more probes. And after the dust does settle, I would say that NightMare, he's in a rough economic position right now. He's got some catching up to do. He's got a lot of catching up to do. Typically, a Protoss player would like to be ahead in the worker count, to be even. The reason for that is mules, as you can imagine. Yeah, mules are a thing. Oof. And we are getting into Colossus production. Unfortunately, because of the opener of our Protoss player, because there was no Twilight Council, there's no Blink, because there was no Stargate or no Phoenixes, like NightMare, he can't really be aggressive across the map. He can't harass, he can't punish the mineral line of Future, he can't really do much of anything. He's fanning out his units for scouting, but that's all he can really do. Like Future, he's pretty safe and sound back at home. Oh my god. And Future, he throws down 2 more Raxes. Once again, this is going to be a very committed push coming up from Future. A very strong timing with Stim, Combat Shields, and +1. The 3rd CC is going to be heavily delayed. The Observer. It gets away. Despite the scan, the Observer will barely get away. So a small win there for NightMare, a very necessary win as well. He's had a rough start. He's had a rough start to the game. Needs something to go his way. As we can see, Future getting ready for his push. Actually getting in position for a 3rd base. Okay. So a faster 3rd compared to game 1, if you remember. Game 1, the 3rd was very late. Here, it's still a little bit delayed, but because it's delayed, we're going to get it on location to make up for it. Observer confirms it, so now NightMare knows he's not being all in. Now he can work on his own 3rd base. NightMare can work on a later game. His army is pushing out. A bold move here by NightMare. He's going to try to force a cancel. I believe he sees the army move out. This is going to be really awkward. There we go. 3rd CC is going to be cancelled. Future, he's not going to turn around. He's going to be committing. He's pushing out. We either have to commit to the base trade or recall. And we're committing. We're going for the base trade. Oh boy. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Vikings, Liberators. Medevacs are being caught out as they do come out of that starport. There is 1 Colossus back at home holding the line. Force field as well. So far, so good for NightMare. Meanwhile, he's busting into the main. Oh, boys are being pulled and so many SCVs are going down. NightMare is breaking into the main base. He's getting on top of the production at the same time. Future, can he do the same? Once again, the force field. Force field keeps him back. But he drops into the main base. It looks like he's barely going to get the Colossus. But NightMare recalls back home. Well, we have a bit of a Zealot surround as well. Tank's getting a lot of shots off. NightMare, can he deal with this army? I don't know if he can. He barely gets the... Yeah, he barely gets the tanks. Barely does get them. And now Future is in a terrible position. NightMare, he holds on to all 3 bases. He kept the majority of his probes alive. And he has a solid army. Future, he lost all of his workers. His 3rd base was cancelled. He doesn't really have much of a standing army at all. Again, NightMare, he was ready for the base trade. The force fields, the MVP force fields, just slowing Future down time and time again. And Future, he didn't even get a base. Didn't even get the natural. And now what can Future do? He's going to be going for some drop play, which is spotted by the observer. NightMare knows he's getting in position. He saw the drop going towards the right-hand side of the map. Future, he diverts his drop towards the south instead. I love the movement here by Future. You can see NightMare, he's looking. He's like, what? Like, wait, where's the drop? I know it went this way, and it did, but... Future. Subverting expectations. Going to the main base instead. Gets a couple of zealots. Gonna get a pylon. Not too much else. Oh, he can get the Bay, though. Actually, a pretty good pickup. Liberator does siege up. We have very little anti-air. The Liberators, they can do a lot of damage. Robotics Bay goes down. The Stalkers, they were so adamant about not rotating towards the main. And NightMare is punished for it. Uh-oh. Is this an overextension? Oh! Thankfully for Future, NightMare does not blink. Blink is not done, so NightMare, he cannot chase down these drops. Future, he escapes. And he got a lot done. He depowered the Robo, he killed the Robotics Bay, he got 9 probes. He's gonna lose his libs. Oh. But he got a good amount of damage done. Here we go. Future mustering up an army. To be fair, so the army supplies of the 2 players are pretty similar. Like, Future is pretty all in with this. He doesn't have another base behind this. He has been building up this massive force of Marauders and Marines. He can take a fight, depending on the angle. Oof. He's got Ghost for EMPs. If he does land with the EMP first, there won't be any force fields. Oh, EMP doesn't quite connect with the sentries. He's looking for it. Better EMP towards the end. We're pushing forward, but we're pushing into an overcharge. Oh. Not quite going to be working out for Future. He stimmed heavily to try to make that happen. And I believe he lost all of his ghosts. He lost one ghost. Kept 2 alive. Another run by is being caught out. The longer this goes on, the better it is for NightMare. NightMare's army is getting massive. He's getting a 4th base, working on a 4th Colossus. We don't have Storm, but we will have Archons. Future, he may be forced to lift up his CC and take that as his 3rd. He has to be very careful with how he stims. Like, you can see that he doesn't have too many medevacs. He can barely keep up here with his own army stimming. He's making Vikings instead. The move out gets spotted. Observer sees everything. NightMare once again getting in position. Oh, is he going for a base trade? He checks to see if there's a 3rd base. Okay. He comes back. Future long distance mining. He's going to be able to take down the Cybercore, potentially? Not quite. Yes, Future is just being chased around. Or being forced to run around, chase down these Zealots. Disruptors are now on the way. Aye. Now we have multiple forms of splash damage. The Zealot run-bys, they just do not stop. Nicely done. Observer is taken out. But we have another. As one observer falls, another arises to take its place. As NightMare, just with full map control right now, or map vision, I should say. At least seeing when the army moves out. Here we go. The last-ditch effort by Future. He's pushing out. He hasn't seen top right yet, but he's headed in that direction. NightMare out of position, but yeah, he's not too far away. NightMare's going to be able to get here in time. Disruptors are revealed. Future, he's going to have to split his heart out here. At the same time, Zealot run by. Forcing Future's attention back home. Entire army backs off. Observer sees the army backing off as well. So NightMare knows he's safe. He knows he can get ready for another run by, another backstab. The Doom Drop is spotted. NightMare throws down a wall of cannons. He's getting ready for the drop. Gloss is getting in position. Oh. Oh my god. As we force a recall back home. 11 SCVs just went down. And yeah, Future is getting picked apart. The Doom Drop is going to get completely shut down. Now, we did just recall, which means we can't recall back towards the top right. Future, he can get a base. He's going for it. And it looks like he will dive in. Takes a Nova to the face, but he takes down 3 Disruptors. He can maybe get the Nexus, but... yeah, NightMare, he's getting in position. He's coming back home. He has more than enough to deal with this. GG gets called, and NightMare will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. It was a good effort. It was a good effort there by Future, but the base trade just did go so well for NightMare. He was able to cripple the economy. He was able to deny the third. Was able to bust into the natural. Meanwhile, Future, he had a hard time committing into his own base trade. We saw he was being slowed down time and time again by force fields, by Colossus. Yeah, NightMare, he was just so prepared for that scenario. He was so ready for it. GG, well played. And after that base trade, NightMare, who was just perpetually ahead. There were a couple of moments here and there for Future where he was like trying to claw his way back in with like Liberator Harass and drop play. But there's only so much he could do. Only so much. With that, congratulations. Congratulations to NightMare for advancing on. My condolences to Future, but you know, hopefully he doesn't feel too bad about it. It was a good showing. NightMare was coming in as the favored player, but Future, he forced the ace match at least, so GG. GG, well played. And now, we can have a look at the bracket. Oh, let's go.